Hello dear students, I am Sonia MV, Assistant Professor, Department of History, Teresian College, Mysore. Today we are going to study about the causes for the rise of Indian nationalism. Nationalism means giving much importance to one's own country. There are several causes for the rise of Indian nationalism. Some of the important points I have listed here. First important point is impact of 1857 revolt. Second one is political unity and unitary administration of India. Third one, impact of Westernization. Fourth one, contribution of scholars. Fifth one, development of the means of communication and transport. Sixth one, economic causes. Seventh one, discrimination in government services. Eighth one, the socio-religious movements of the 19th century. Ninth one, press and newspapers. 10th one, influence of contemporary European events. 11th one, administration of Lord Lytton. 12th one, the Ilbert Bill controversy. 13th one, role of organizations. 14th one, role of vernacular literature. Now in detail, the first important point is impact of 1857 revolt. We all know that 1857 revolt is popularly known as First War of Indian Independence. And why we call this revolt as a First War of Indian Independence means for the first time, so throughout India the people revolted against the British, and this created a tradition for unitary national movement. Second important point here, that is political unity and unitary administration. Indians were united administratively, geographically, socially because of the British administration. And British administration created a concept of one administration, currency, public service, one set of laws, so which created a feeling of oneness among the people. And they started thinking about the one nation, one country, one administration. Next, third important point, so that is impact of Westernization. British introduced English education in India, and Indian people started getting education in English language, so which created the idea of Westerners, and they started learning the Western culture, and they started learning the new ideas like liberty, equality, socialism, democracy, administration, many other things. So this is one of the main reason. So the Westerners, the Western culture helped the Indians to think about the country, and that resulted in the rise of nationalism. And the fourth important point here, contribution of scholars. Here many scholars in India, they started reading and learning about the Indian history and culture, and many number of works were created based on Indian history and Indian culture, which helped the Indians to know about their rich heritage, culture, custom, tradition, and Indians started feeling themselves proud about the rich culture heritage. At the same time, many European scholars like Max Muller, so William Jones, Ferguson, Densett, so they all started working on the Indian history, linguistic and culture. So this is also a main reason for the rise of nationalism. And next important point, so that is the development of means of communication and transport. We all know that during the time of Lord Dalhousie, so there was a different type of development in the country. Particularly the railways, the roadways, the canals were constructed. At the same time, the telegraphic lines, the wireless and postal systems were also started. So this developed a communication among the people. The people started moving from one place to another place. So in that way, the idea of nationalism created among the Indians. Next important point is the economic causes. Here economic causes means, first important thing, the British made India as their colony. they wanted raw materials from India and they were exporting this raw materials to their country. Again using this raw material, so they were manufactured the goods and that finished goods were again brought to India. And they were using India as a source of raw materials and they were using India as their markets. In that way, the Indian handicraft industries and small scale industries completely ruined, and in India many number of workers, so they become unemployed. So this way, here the industries, the cottage industries, the small scale industries, everything ruined because of the British economic policy. Dadabhai Naoroji, one of the important Indian scholar, has given information about the drain wealth. So how the British, so they are looting the wealth of Indians. At the same time, here the British tax system, their land revenue policy also affected Indians. Next important point here, discrimination in government services. Here there was a lot of discrimination in government services. The British, they were giving all important posts to the Europeans, and Indians were given some of the posts which are all considered as a third grade posts, and there was no any higher post given to the Indians in the administration or in the military department, and there was a lot of discrimination between the European officials and the Indian officials. The salary wise also, the Indians were given very less salary according to the Indian currency, and the Europeans were given more salary according to the European money. For a same work, there was a lot of discrimination regarding the salary. So this created a hatredness among the people. The next important thing here, that is the socio-religious movements of the 19th century. We know that the social reformers, the religious reformers like Rajaram Mohan Rai, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, then Swami Vivekananda, so they all worked for the upliftment of the people. So they created a feeling of oneness among the people, and they made people to think about the motherland. So in that way, the spirit of nationalism created mainly because of the effort of this social and religious reformers. And next important thing here, the press and newspapers. So the introduction of the printing press in India played a very important role. Many number of newspapers also started publishing the informations about the British government. Some of the important newspapers at that time, that is Amrit Bazar Patrika, here Maratha, Kesari, Indian Mirror, Samvad Kaumudi, so many number of English dailies as well as vernacular newspapers. All these newspapers, mainly the anti-British newspapers, so they were all writing about the British exploitation, so they were writing about the British behaviors and many other things, so which created anti-British feeling among the people. And the next important point here, that is the influence of the contemporary events. Here in the world, so many number of revolutions, many important events happened which completely changed their society. So among them, the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, American War of Independence, the unification of Italy, the unification of Germany, the defeat of Russia by the small country Japan in 1905, and many other contemporary events made the Indians to think about revolting against the British and to establish their self-government. And the next important point here, so that is administration of Lord Lytton. Lord Lytton was a governor, and this Lord Lytton is famous for his crucial administration. And first important thing, he arranged a Delhi Darbar to declare Queen Victoria as the Empress of India. And here at that time, so there was a terrible famine and people were suffering without food. But here as a governor, Lord Lytton, so he arranged a Delhi Darbar and he spent lot of money to just to declare Queen Victoria as the Empress of India. So this was not liked by people. And second important thing about the Lord Lytton means, so he restricted the newspapers as well as using of arms or the weapons by introducing this Vernacular Press Act as well as Arms Act. So this was also not liked by the people. And next important step taken by this Lord Lytton, he reduced the age for appearing civil service examination from 21 years to 19 years. So this was also condemned by the Indians. At the same time, he abolished the duties on 29 articles. So not only this, so he took several steps which were all against the Indians. So this is also one of the main reason. And next one is the Ilbert Bill controversy. Ilbert was a law minister under the Governor Lord Ripon. And Ilbert passed a bill and it became popular as a Ilbert Bill. And what was that controversy means? According to that Ilbert Bill, an Indian judge can involve in the cases where the Europeans are there. He is also having a right to decide the cases where the Europeans are present in the particular case. But this was opposed by the British because earlier there was a system like the British how to decide the cases where the British were included. But here the Indians started giving importance to the Indian judges, so that was condemned by the British. And next important thing here, the role of organizations. Here before the establishment of Indian National Congress in 1885, there were several other organizations like Madras Mahajan Sabha, so the Bengal League, and many other organizations, and they were playing a same important role. They were fighting for the freedom, so they were fighting for the constitutional reforms, and they were fighting for the self-rule. And at the same time, the vernacular literature, the last important thing, the vernacular literature also played a very important role. Here, vernacular literature means the first important thing we remember, that is Bankima Chandra Chatterjee's Vande Mataram. So this is one of the patriotic song and it inspired our people a lot. At the same time, the works of Rabindranath Tagore and the work called Neela Darpan, so which is mainly about the Indigo Revolt, and many other important works which created a feeling of nationalism among the Indians, and also it created anti-British feeling. And altogether we can say that there were several important causes so which are existing, and all these causes finally resulted in the rise of Indian nationalism. So in that way, the moderates, the extremists, the revolutionaries, they started participating in the freedom movement against the British. Thank you.